We've now completed the process of putting together an action creator that's going to run some code to make an API request, and then eventually dispatch an action with our data on the payload property. So now it's time to us to start focusing on our reducers. To get started, we're going to flip on over to our code editor and find our reducers index.js file. You'll recall that inside of here we had that dummy reducer that we put in just to get our application working. So we're going to replace this thing in just a minute. If you think back to the last application that we worked on, we had created all of our different reducers inside of the reducers index.js file. But this time around, we're going to take a little different approach. Instead, we're going to create a separate file for each reducer that we end up with. The idea here is that as we start to work on larger projects with many reducers, putting them all inside of one file is probably not going to scale too well. So we're going to create a separate file for each reducer in our reducers directory. We'll then import them into this index.js file and wire them up to the combine reducers call. Okay, so let's talk really briefly about the reducer that we're going to create right now. So we have an action creator to fetch our posts. That is going to dispatch an action with a type of fetch posts and our response on the payload property. So we are going to create a posts reducer, and this thing is going to be responsible for watching for actions with type fetch posts. And anytime it sees that, it's going to pull off that response right there and all the data inside of it and add it into some array. So we're going to eventually have a list of sorts with all of our different posts that have been fetched from our API. Okay, so let's flip back over. Inside my reducers directory, I'm going to make a new file called posts.reducer.js. And then inside of here, I'm going to put together an export default with an arrow function like so. And for right now, I'll just say return 123 so that our reducer actually returns some value. And then I'm going to hook this up to my index.js file. So I'll flip back over. At the top, I will import posts reducer from posts reducer. And then I'm going to assign that thing to our combine reducers call right here. So I will replace the replace me reducer with posts, and that will be posts reducer, like so. Okay, so now we're going to flip back over and start working on our reducer. Now, we're not going to just straight up put the code for the reducer together. I want to take this as an opportunity to start talking to you and teach you a little bit more about exactly how reducers work and how we normally structure them inside of production style applications. So let's take a quick pause right here. When we come back to the next section, we're going to start to investigate these different rules, and we'll start to eventually add some code to our post reducer. So quick break, and I'll see you in just a minute.